By popular demand, here are the 10 most important facial features for looking attractive according to scientific literature. Although our ranking of the top 10 features is based on scientific literature, the order of importance will obviously vary from person to person and also quite significantly varies by gender, ethnic background, and environment, as we've covered so many times on this channel in the past. Number 10 are your lips. Your lips are not as important for looking attractive as you may think. That's why they stand in at the 10th position. While the lips certainly have a level of importance, usually they're not the feature that make or break the face. That is, unless they are unnaturally thin or full. Usually most people don't lie towards either extreme, and nor are the lips a highly noticeable or salient feature of the face. Also, the lips are just one of the isolated features for the most part, unlike some of the others which come together with other facial characteristics. Still, the lips have a few different components to them, like the lip volume, proportionality, and the shape, and lips that are overly full or disproportionate in relation to the lower third can certainly make you look less attractive, but it won't make you look ugly, quote unquote, on its own. The Cupid's bow has been a historically sought after facial feature as it adds harmony to the lips and enhances their shape. There are also many ethnic variations to lip size and shape that one specific lip shape cannot be the universal beauty standard, which is why it doesn't have a large impact on the face, because there's just too much variation. Overall, lips are important enough to make the list, but certainly not the most important facial characteristic for looking attractive. A lot of Instagram models overemphasize how much getting lip filler will give them a boost in their attractiveness, but in reality, sometimes the results actually work in their disfavor, where they actually have a glow down. The 9th most important facial feature, arguably, for looking attractive is teeth and dental health. Your smile is undoubtedly one of the most expressive and important facial characteristics, where Hendry and Brewer note that the teeth are an ornamental display or a rich source of genetic and environmental information about a person's face and their health. Everyone knows what bad teeth look like. They may be stained, they may be yellow, crooked, or even decaying in some cases. We associate unpleasant breath with bad teeth, even apart from the visual unpleasantness. So you can imagine how there are multiple negative associations from just one facial characteristic, which we don't see in other facial features like the lips, for example. Still, it's possible to have an attractive face with teeth that are not perfectly pearly white. The researchers note that it's just the yellowing of the teeth that makes a subject less attractive. Whitening beyond a natural level also doesn't provide any additional benefit. For this point, we aren't really talking about having an underbite or improperly aligned teeth, so we're not talking about orthodontic issues, rather just the teeth and the color themselves, as that would be a much higher point on the list, which we'll cover in just a second. We're referring to the aesthetics of the teeth, like tooth caps, chipped, crooked, yellow teeth, and we've made a video on teeth aesthetics here, which will explain all of those factors in more detail. But even then, your teeth won't make or break your facial attractiveness in most cases, because you can always just keep your mouth closed if you're insecure about your teeth, and it doesn't have this permanent effect on your face as some of the other features higher up on the list do. Most people take for granted just how important skin health is for looking attractive, and that's why the largest organ in your body is the 8th most important facial feature. But why is it only the 8th? Well, you've seen acne transformations, especially after going on Accutane. It does have a significant impact, but at the same time, it's not as important as some of the other factors which are arguably more significant. Fixing acne, especially if it's severe, will result in a significant glow up, and that's undeniable. This is because acne shrouds the beauty of facial features like the nose, the jaw, the eyes, and it does hide the underlying bone structure by detracting away your attention to the redness of the blemishes or the pustules, the nodules, the scars even. Not only that, it also gives you an unhealthy appearance, but it does detract attention from your facial strong points. Still, as long as your skin is not severely acne-ridden, sun-damaged, or dry, it won't necessarily make or break your facial attractiveness, which is why it's placed as 8. One pimple here and there won't make, say, a model less attractive. Your skin does also signal youth, so it is really quite important to maintain that throughout drinking water, wearing sunscreen, and other skin regimens like Retin-A. But overall, having a homogeneous or a smooth and consistent skin tone is going to boost your facial attractiveness by quite a bit, but from a distance, you can't really tell the health of your skin, and it doesn't really matter all that much. For men and women alike, hair is quite underrated when it comes to looking attractive. That's why we rank it as number 7 on this list of top 10. We all know that losing hair, or balding, is really a big detractor for men's facial attractiveness in most cases. Even in women, hair length, style, and volume have been shown in our previous videos with the scientific literature to drastically alter facial attractiveness. For example, Mesko and Berzecke note that the long and medium length hairs had a significant positive effect on ratings of women's attractiveness, as individuals who can afford the high cost of long hair are those who have arguably good phenotypical and genetic quality, because long hair has both social costs and also health costs to maintain. This is why hair is a significant, but maybe not the most important facial feature. It is expressive in terms of signaling our youthfulness, our health, and fertility, and with the vast amount of hairstyles out there, a bad hairstyle can completely alter the perceived proportionality of your face. For example, a top-heavy hairstyle can make a long face look even longer, so it is also a stylistic and personality indicator too. For men, facial hair also falls under this category, and it can add some extra masculinity or mask a weaker jaw for the faces that need it, so it does have this benefit, but it's not, again, the make or break. Just look at some of the most attractive actors or models out there, and they almost always have great hair. Again, this is just one of those features that won't make or break the face if you are otherwise attractive, but it is still very important as providing a little bit of a boost here and there. Having unkempt hair can make you look less presentable and attractive, and hair is especially important for those of us who don't have the bone structure of runway models in providing some facial adjustments. The sixth most important feature of the face is arguably the cheekbones, also called the zygomatic bones. These are what most people think of when they think of runway models or any highly attractive face. This is the point in the list where it starts getting away from the more superficial traits and into the actual bone structure of the face, because this is quite literally what makes you, you. Unsurprisingly, they rank high on the list because your cheekbones sit near your eyes and provide support for the mid-face. They just make you look more alert and youthful when they're higher. At the same time, having hollow cheeks or incredibly sharp, sculpted cheekbones are not a prerequisite for an attractive face, because we've covered on the channel plenty of cheekbones that are lower, less defined, but nonetheless still there. Some level of cheekbone development is desired, but they don't have to be overly sharp. High cheekbones are desired, but not everyone has them. They just give more lift to the face and they make you appear more striking, and thus the cheekbones rank high in terms of importance, but not that high up, because they're not the prerequisite for attractive faces. This isn't to downplay the importance of the cheekbones, but Mogilski and Welling in their study also note that some of the other features on this list are more salient than cheekbone prominence in terms of partner attractiveness. They are important, but just like the lips, they're often overemphasized because they are also identifiable. The nose seems to get a lot of attention in terms of being the most important facial feature, especially by women, but that's not actually true. It is indeed quite important, but it ranks as the fifth most important feature in our list, being attractive, for a very good reason. This includes things like nasal tip projection, or how far out the nose sticks, the nasal tip shape, the bulbousness, the nasal base width. Those are all factors that matter as well when you're talking about the nose. But with that being said, there is a great deal of variability in attractive nose shapes. There isn't a one-size-fits-all nose, but most attractive faces have at least an acceptable nose that is within normality for the general population. Nothing too big or too small or too crazy looking, just generally the average you would expect. As long as the nose is not deformed, broken, lots of different nose shapes can be attractive, which is why it's not the make or break for a face, but there is a very high level of sensitivity when the nose is disproportionate. That's why it's perfectly placed at fifth. Not too important, but not to be ignored either. Along those same lines, as long as your nose is not overly deviant from your ethnic specific nose shape, it will harmonize well with your face. But when it is deviant, it's very noticeable because the nose is dead center in the middle of your face. Most attractive faces do have good noses, but the fact that we can find highly attractive faces with all kinds of nose shapes around the world means it won't beat out some of the other features on this list, which are more important and less negotiable on diversity. Your face shape undoubtedly plays a large part in making you attractive. That's why we put it at number 4 out of the top 10. And when talking about face shapes in this specific context, we are mainly referring to a very specific definition. We are talking about the clinical definition of the facial index, which is the length of your face relative to its width. Additionally, we also have to consider the relative width of the facial thirds, the upper, the middle, and the lower thirds. All these different face shapes you've heard about, such as your oval, square, long, short, medium, heart shapes, all stem from those two general dimensions, and they don't really matter more so because there are attractive faces from all of those categories. What does matter is the facial index, and that basically means an attractive face has a proportionate face shape, that a face that is neither too long or too short, or too wide or too narrow, or with a jaw or forehead that is not too bulbous. If we're going to put a number to it, let's just say, according to Rennick and Ferretti's paper, your face should be 1.35 times longer than it is wide for men and 1.3 times in women, which is the population average that we see all across the world. You find the most attractive faces around this range, with some exceptions such as male model Jordan Barrett, who we've covered in the past, having a very wide face. In line with the concept of facial averageness, your bitemporal or forehead width and bigonial or the jaw width should also be around this similar width of your cheekbones, usually around 80 to 90%, to not appear too wide or too narrow. With all of that being said, different face shapes can be quite attractive, so there is some variability, but as a general rule, almost all beautiful people have a pleasant face shape, making this a highly important factor on the list because it does frame the entirety of your face and your features. I don't know if you were expecting this, but your eyebrows, eyelashes, and general brow ridge are the third most important facial feature for making an attractive face. It is cheating to bunch all of these features together, but usually they correlate with one another in terms of expression. In part 1, we mentioned that the cheekbone prominence was found to be the least important among the features studied by Mogilski and Welling. Among the features that beat cheekbone prominence was eyebrow thickness. Keep in mind, this is simply the vertical thickness of the eyebrows. There are a lot of other parts to an attractive eyebrow, like the color, the shape, density, and position. However, the fact that eyebrow thickness alone was on par with face shape in terms of importance and beat out cheekbone prominence is very revealing about their saliency and importance in visual attention. Add on top of that list that the attractive feature of dark eyelashes, and it's obvious why these rank so high on the top 10 list. Women accentuate their lashes and brows for a reason. It's because they completely alter your perceived attractiveness. Your brow ridge, or the glabella region, is not entirely separable from your eyebrows. Your eyebrows sit on your brow ridge, so the underlying bone does affect how attractive you are. They also help make your eyes more deep set, which is generally considered attractive for men and to some degree for women too. The brow ridge is one of the more sexually dimorphic features on the face, where men usually have much more prominent brow ridges. We've seen the research from Niney and Rhodes, as well as others, that confirmed the importance of sexual dimorphism, or being masculine looking or feminine looking, in facial attractiveness. The brow ridge does have a role in controlling how masculine or feminine your face looks, depending on your sex. Your eyes are the second most important facial feature for an attractive face, and some people may put this feature at number 1, but either way, most people recognize this as one of the more important facial features. Perhaps if we lumped eyebrows in this, then the whole eye region would be number 1. In this case, your eyes refer to the spacing between your eyes, your eye shape, color, health, tilt, or how upturned they are, eyelid exposure, and other unique deformities or features like the limbal ring or under eye darkness, dark circles, hollowing, generally the whole periocular region. The distance between your eyes, being wide or close set, makes a surprisingly large difference in how attractive you are. The whites of your eyes, or the sclera, should also be white and healthy looking rather than yellowish or red, which looks sickly, and again, does have an impact on how attractive you are. Everyone seems to have unique eyes, and our eye shape is a major part of that. How sharp, narrow, rounded, upturned, droopy our eyes are all affect our perceived attractiveness. There are too many specific features to delve into detail for just this video, but we have made videos on this in the past. But having well-spaced, almond-shaped eyes is generally considered attractive. Again, many kinds of eyes can be considered beautiful as long as they don't stray too far from normality or averageness for your ethnic population. This is why the eyes are so crucial when it comes to looking attractive. There are just too many moving parts in the periocular region, and also one of the first things you look at is another person's eyes. No surprise here, but your jaw is the most important facial feature for attractiveness. This is a broad feature, as your jawline can be broken down into more than 5 individual parts, such as your chin, upper jaw, lower jaw, ramus length, jaw body, jaw height, anterior jaw length. However, when somebody says you have a nice jawline, they're talking about the whole lower third or the jaw complex as a whole, and all of these features combined, which is what makes this so significant. Because there are so many moving parts, again, this is undoubtedly a very important feature for attractive faces. I mean, just go out on your TikTok page and virtually every attractive person has a well-structured jaw. You will see a bunch of different eye and eyebrow shapes among models. However, almost all models and attractive celebrities all have well-defined, well-structured jawlines, which are more or less the same, which is why we put the jaw above the eyes. Having a defined and pleasant jaw angle is usually a prerequisite for an attractive face. Having a sharp jawline with low submental fat, again, something we see in almost all attractive faces. And so with the jawline, there is much less variability compared to the eyes. We've also touched on how crucial one's jaw development is for overall health indicators, along with displaying your body fat percentage. Having poor jaw alignment, such as an overjet, an underbite, or an overbite, or the orthodontic definition of your face, can make simple tasks like chewing and speaking more difficult. In this sense, having a healthy and attractive jaw is a universal and timeless indicator of beauty, because beauty is defined as function, and so having a dysfunctional jaw does make your face less attractive. This doesn't mean that you need the most robust jaw possible, but it does mean that you need a healthy jaw as the prerequisite for being attractive. Some honorable mentions that didn't make the list include your ears, neck, and facial symmetry, and these features can certainly impact facial attractiveness, especially if you have really large deviant ears, but they aren't as important as some of the other factors that we did put on the list. Most people don't glaringly notice facial asymmetry, but symmetry is still important enough of an overarching feature to have, but generally, these characteristics come with all of the others on the list. And so if you have strong jawlines, chances are you're also going to have lower levels of facial asymmetry, which is a topic we've covered in this video. With that being said, if you'd like to learn more about your top 10 features, your jawline, your ears, your eyes, and all of these characteristics in deep cephalometric detail with analysis and scientific literature performed by a team of doctors and dentists and with recommendations for changing your facial aesthetic, as always, that's over at the Koov's website, and I'll catch you all in the next one.